What's doing, everybody? Welcome to First Class Fatherhood. I'm happy and honored, as always, to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. It's awesome to be back with the first episode of 2024 on the podcast here. And I know right now the NFL playoffs are heating up, and I have got an NFL dad joining me on the podcast for you guys today. Xavier Woods is going to be here with me. Xavier plays safety for the Carolina Panthers. He played his college football at Louisiana Tech, where he was a three-time All-Conference USA safety. He was drafted in 2017 by the Dallas Cowboys, currently plays for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm excited to have him on the podcast. You guys know I've had so many NFL dads. I've really been blessed to have so many of them join me on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple Podcasts, just scroll through the archives and you'll see so many of them, including Kurt Warner, Edgerrin James, Deion Sanders, Ronnie Lott, Jim Kelly. The list really goes on and on. You can check out some of the Super Bowl Media Day interviews I've done with guys like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. So go check them out. And I know ticket prices are kind of out of control for every sport right now, but if you're going to an NFL playoff game, you're going to take in a hockey game, a basketball game, go buy your tickets on SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app. Plug in the promo code at the checkout, First Class. That's one word, First Class. You'll save $20 on your tickets. I think a beer at every stadium now goes for about $20. So have your first beer on me. Go to SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app to buy your tickets. Plug in the promo code First Class and save $20. All right, so let's do this. The first episode of 2024. I am pumped. As always, please help me spread the word about today's podcast. Every father in your neighborhood or in your contact list, let them know about the show that's here celebrating fatherhood and family life. You guys know it. Every day is Father's Day right here on the podcast. Here comes my interview straight up with Carolina Panthers safety Xavier Woods on First Class Fatherhood.
First Class Fatherhood. That is where Alec Lace comes in with his popular podcast.
And one of the most interesting was on a podcast.
Alec Lace interviews high-profile fathers from actors to NFL players with a vision to change the narrative of fatherhood and family life.
Joining me now, First Class Father Xavier Woods. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Let's start like this. How many kids do you have? How old are they?
So I have three kids, 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
What's the breakup there? What do you got?
So the 4 and 3 is 16 months apart. And I want to say the 3 and 1-year-old are about 19 months apart. The 1-year-old.
You got boys, girls? What do you got?
Yeah, so the 1-year-old is a boy, and the 2 oldest is the girls. So the 1-year-old is about to turn 2 April 20th. So he has a 4/20 birthday.
You going to try to tie it up here? 2 boys, 2 girls? Or are you guys all done?
Man, that's all according to the wife,
I hear that. All right, listen.
Funny thing about it, we did have one scheduled, the consultation scheduled, but I backed out of it, and then now she's like, maybe we can have one more.
All right, we have 4 here. We had 3 boys, then got the girl on our 4th try. Otherwise, we'd probably still be going to try to get her, but we got her on 4, so that was the end for us. If you could, Xavier, please just take a minute here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background, what you do.
So yeah, my name is Xavier Woods. I'm from Louisiana, West Monroe, Louisiana. I grew up in Louisiana, North Louisiana. Some people may get that confused. It's very far from New Orleans, more closer to Arkansas or Dallas. So yeah, I went to college at Louisiana Tech. It's in Ruston, literally 30 minutes from home. So my first time leaving home was when I was drafted in the 6th round by the Dallas Cowboys. So that was my first time leaving Louisiana. So yeah, I played Dallas for 4 years, played in Minnesota for 1 year, and I've been in Charlotte for the Carolina Panthers for 2 years.
Yeah, very cool. So where along your career here, how old were you then when you first became a dad, and how did becoming a father change your perspective on life?
What was I? So 4 years ago, for 28. So I was 24, maybe 23, going on 24, because my 4-year-old's birthday is 2 days before. So I was actually, 23 going on 24. And so
playing for Dallas at the time?
Yes. Yep. I was. So just becoming a dad, man, it's been remarkable. It's definitely one of the biggest things I would say. Just sacrifices that you make, sacrifices that you have to make, and for me, just gaining understanding of seeing what my parents dealt with me, with my brothers and sisters. I understand. I understand. Nothing's gonna be perfect. Maybe the way they parented wasn't perfect, but it was just the best way they could, and that's kind of how I parent now. You know, it's not gonna be perfect. I've kind of meshed what I want, what I'm trying to instill, and how I'm trying to parent my kids. It may not be the same way my parents taught me, because my dad was hard on me. He was the tough parent, old school parent. You know, so I definitely try to, mesh and just jumble up, what I want to do, what I want to teach my kids, and just try to be the best parent that I can be. It ain't gonna be perfect all the time.
Yeah, and I think so many of us, Xavier, get that feeling. I know I got it too. It's like a revelation of like what your parents were dealing with, and you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand why they did this, why they did that, why they didn't want me to go here or there. So much of that is true for so many of us. And what would you say to Xavier, is what were some of the challenges of becoming a dad while you're, obviously you're playing at the top of the spear here. You're in the NFL. What are some of the challenges being an NFL player while becoming a dad and being a father?
Definitely just we're not there all the time. I'm not there all the time. I mean, from I want to say about 6 o'clock to about really from 6 to 6. I'm really not at home. It's really on my wife. The kids are really on my wife, and that's really like an everyday thing. Especially on weekends for away games, we're gone. So it's mostly during the season. It's really on my wife, so I'm not able to be with my kids all the time. I'm not able to go to their therapies all the time. I miss some stuff that they may, accomplish, or the milestones they may reach throughout the day. But then I also get that time in the off season where I'm not at work and I'm with them all the time, and I'm definitely getting a glimpse of that now. being that stay at home dad, you kind of get that glimpse of what my wife goes through on a daily basis. She definitely gained my respect the first time I had to do it, and so that's been one of the big things.
I feel the same way. So I work for the railroad, and sometimes, early on, I'd be working an overtime shift or something. I'd call my wife to say, "Hey, I got to stay," and it's absolute chaos in the background is all I'm hearing. And I'm like, "Oh, it's like and then you get a glimpse of it. You do gain a whole new respect for what your wives are going through when you get a chance to do that." And what now? Do you have a home base, Xavier, or like I know you said you were with Dallas. I know you did. Now you're Carolina. Do you have a home base where you stay, or do you move from city to city depending on what the team's going to be?
No, I mean, we do have a home base in Atlanta. In all season, we live in Atlanta. That's our permanent home. And then, whichever we've been in Charlotte, it's going on a year and a half, going on 2 years now. And so we have a home here. So we have a dual residence here in Charlotte. But then all season, we go back to Atlanta, South Atlanta.
Very cool. What would you consider to be the top values, Xavier, that you want to instill in all your kids growing up?
Top values. Respect being one. Just respecting yourself, respecting others. I'm big on that. Just respecting others, being humble. And then also just being humble. That's what my parents raised me on. I'm from the South, so just the yes sir, no sir, and no ma'am, yes ma'am. Those things are big. And just being humble. I know the position that I'm in, the position that I'm going to have my kids in. I understand that, and the kids may not understand it yet, but it's definitely a privilege. We definitely are a little more fortunate than other people. So just being humble, just being understanding that, hey, some people may not have what we have, but you're no better than the next person. You're no better than your friend that may not have what we have, or your cousin who may not have what we have. You're no better than them. And so those are the two things that that I'm trying to instill: just respect and just being humble, and understanding that respect everyone, and you get it back, and also just understanding the predicament that you're in, the situation, and the privilege that you do have, being that you may be in the upper echelon of people, but you're no better than them.
Yeah, really well said, Xavier. And one thing I do like to ask the NFL players that come on the show here, just because it's a struggle or a tough decision for a lot of dads. I know you have a son now yourself too. Is what would you consider to be a good age to start letting your kids play tackle football? What about for your son? What age would you say you'd let him start playing, putting the pads on, and play tackle?
Oh man, it's weird for me. I really have not thought about it yet. Because
When did you start? What age were you when you started with the
I
pads?
started at like 5. I never played flag football. I started at 5 years old, and it's been it's been tackle football ever since. And so, to be honest, I really haven't thought about when I would start tackle with him. I've thought about, whether I would push football on him. I definitely have thought about that. And I won't push football if he wants to play football. Even now, he'll grab a football. Football just around him, of course, whether it's on TV or he sees me on TV or I might bring a football home. So he sees that, but I'm definitely not pushing it on him. We have football, basketball, soccer balls, all of that. So I'm just opening his viewpoint to everything. So whichever sport he wants to play, then I'm just going to let him pick. Of course, we had to put him in something first, which would probably be soccer. I think soccer starts the earliest, and then just go from there. But just pushing a football on him, I don't think I'd do that. And so it definitely won't be tackle first like I did. It won't be tackle first. But in Louisiana, it was no flag football. It was strictly you go straight to tackle when you're in first grade and you go on from there.
It is pretty cool how they have all the flag leagues now, because they didn't have, when I was growing up, we didn't have any of this. And now it's like there's so many opportunities for you to actually get a chance to learn the game without having to, depending on what level you're at. So if you get kids that are just at a beginner level and just wanting to learn how to play the game, it's good to be able to do that and not have to get, smashed all over the field while you're doing it too. So I think that's a benefit.
Yeah, definitely is. Because, now in Louisiana, because my little brothers was able to play flag football. Like I said, they didn't have flag when I was growing up. So just to be able to see how those kids just learn the game of football, whether it's just being how to run with the football or catch a football or just pull a flag, it was big to see. But just going straight out to tackle somebody, like not having no practice or anything, when you look at it, it's kind of weird and it's kind of unsafe. But this is the way it was back then, but definitely now. I definitely love some of the safeties and some of the stuff they have now as far as the flag, or they even have flag up to higher age, even older age, up into like third and fourth grade. So, but as far as I really have not thought about when I would start tackle football with him, or even just football period.
Yeah, it's tough, and it is like I said, we were crazy back then. I mean, when I was a kid, we played so much street ball, like we played so much at at the park or at the yard. I mean, we had some intense games, man. Like we were looking back, I'm like, we were crazy doing this, because
I only know kids do that nowadays.
I don't see it.
Kids don't even go outside nowadays.
Yeah, I definitely don't see it. How about as far as yeah, that seems to be the thing. YouTube, TikTok is taking the kids by storm now. What about as far as being a girl dad, Xavier? What are some of the things, what do you enjoy about being a girl dad? What are they into?
Man, being a girl dad has made me, you have to have patience. So definitely patience, a level of softness, definitely compared to dealing with my boy. Which, it really is a difference. I'm not too hard on my boy, but you definitely have to be a little harder. But being on my girls, you definitely have to have a level of softness, level of patience, level of understanding. They're a little more sensitive than the boys, so that comes into play. So, whether or not they get in trouble, you have to understand, hey, you can't go at them hard. You got to be soft. Your tone matters. Your tone definitely matters. Sometimes I have to get firm with them. As far as my tone, when my 3-year-old just keeps doing something she was supposed to do, and then my boy, he gets into everything. He runs behind them. So there definitely is a difference. Just being a girl dad, I think really I became a girl dad really when that phenomenon came, when Kobe said it, and it's definitely different. Just the patience and just the level of softness that I have to be with them is a lot different. And toughness as far as, what they can or cannot do. Because my dad, I have a younger sister, and my sister definitely thought that my dad was harder on her than he was on the boys. Like, she couldn't go and stay nowhere. I'm big on that. Yeah, the girl just can't go and stay anywhere. She just can't go be with anybody. Because, nowadays it's crazy out there. It's definitely crazy. So there's a level.
I'm in the same boat.
There's a difference on how tough I am with my boy and what I'm teaching him, and then how I'm teaching my girls. I'm trying to instill in my girls as well.
Yeah, my three sons are teenagers, and my daughter's the baby. She's 9 years old, and it's like I'm still trying to figure out how to adapt and how to like. There's so many times like if I go a little bit too far, once I lose her, that's it. I can't reel her back in, like So it's like I'm still trying to find that spot where it's like I can push, and then once I cross that over, it's like then she's off on a tear, and emotionally I can't bring her back. So I'm still trying to find that fine line.
And that's not just with between the girl and the boy. That's with each child as well. Yeah. Each child has that point to where, you keep going.
Well, obviously, what do you got? What are the plans you got for the family here in the off season? I know the kids probably still got just some school or some activities or something. But what are you guys planning on for the off season? You going anywhere? Any trips planned? What's the schedule look like?
The kids got a couple. The kids got school for the rest of the month, and then we always we started tradition. We've been every year for the last 2 years to Disney World. So we always do Disney World. I wanted to go a little bit earlier this year. That way we don't catch spring break, and that way it's not as hot. So we always do Disney World. We always do Bahamas. Those are the two traditions that we always do: Disney World and Bahamas. And then going back to Atlanta here and there, and really just spending time and with the kids, just doing a lot of fun stuff outside the house. Because they're getting older, they're talking a lot more. So my 3-year-old is telling me what she wants to do. So I listen sometimes. She's been telling me she wants to go to the park. The last 2 days, it's been raining and really cold, so we haven't been able to go. So we possibly will go to the park tomorrow. So just fun stuff about the off season.
At what point do you kind of start making that transition from stay-at-home dad to NFL player? When does that? What month, or is it around the NFL draft? Is it around spring? When do you start to make that shift in your mindset from being at home dad and then back getting your head in the game?
I would say around the end of March, because we usually have to go into OTAs at the beginning of April, and so let me see, March. Yeah, at the beginning of April. So around the end of March is when I kind of make that transition back to, hey. It's time to go back to work. Dad got to go back to work.
All right. Well, last thing I want to hit you with here, Xavier, I love to ask all the dads to get on the podcast. What type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about-to-be father who's out there listening?
The biggest advice is have patience and listen, because patience, listen, and the biggest is time is just spending time with your kids. One of the biggest things is just being there. Being there is one of the biggest things for a kid. Just being able for your kid to see you every day, or some dads can be there every day, all day. But just being there when you can, being there as much as you can, maximizing your time with your kids is really, to them, it's the biggest thing. And then just having patience with them and listening, because they'll tell you what they want. They're always going to tell you what they want. Whether they're crying, whether they're laughing, smiling, they're always going to tell you what they want. It's just listening and understanding, and then having just the patience. They're kids. They don't understand. They're going to do stuff. They're going to touch the stove when you tell them it's hot. My kid yesterday turned the eye on the stove trying to get some cookies. And so it's like, I've told him time and time again, do not touch the stove. You can't touch nothing on the stove. And he did it. He did it anyway. And so, because he's seen his sister do it. And so it's like, just have patience. He's trying to run behind his sister, do what his sister does. His sister can do it, but buddy, you can't. So yeah, I would say just those things, just patience, understanding, and just being there.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. It's been a pleasure for me. I got to say, Xavier Woods, you're a first-class father all the way, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Alec Lace has interviewed more than 700 dads on his award-winning podcast, First Class Fatherhood. Dads from all walks of life, including Tom Brady, Deion Sanders, Matthew McConaughey, Steve Harvey, Tony Hawk, Eric Trump, and so many more. Find out why First Class Fatherhood has been #1 on the iTunes charts. Who these men are as fathers and how they raise their children is far more important than anything they accomplish in their careers. Alec Lace encourages his high-profile guests to share their fatherhood journeys and offer advice to new and soon-to-be dads. Let every father in your contact list know about First Class Fatherhood. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Every day is Father's Day on First Class Fatherhood.